Good evening and Jai Hind, and welcome to all our viewers to this great session that we have all been looking forward to on developing immunity, nutrition, food habits, health, and hygiene. We are streaming live on Facebook with thousands of viewers, students, parents, many others who really want to know what's going to be happening now on this front when it comes to the post COVID era. So I would also like to inform all our Facebook viewers that we are going to be taking in questions from Facebook too. So keep posting as you keep moving on. So I have today two extremely distinguished panelists, Dr. Shalabh Gupta and Dr. Monica Gupta. And I'm so happy that they have taken out time from their busy schedule to throw light on the very, very important issues of health, sanitation, food habit. I want to thank both of you all for being here with us today. So let me, without any ado, first introduce my first panelist. I'm going to go ladies first, even if it is cliched. So first to you, Dr. Monica Gupta. Dr. Monica Gupta is an MBBS MD from the Institute of Medical Sciences, BHU. She has been awarded the Diabetes Awareness Initiative Award 2015 by the Diabetes India, Chennai. She is also associated with Kiran Center, Anaj Bank, and many other centers of repute. She has clinical research experience as sub-investigator. She is an auditor for USFDA and DCGI. She has several GCP certificates and has organized, attended, and presented papers at various conferences. We welcome you, ma'am, and look forward
Thank you.
to your inputs.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My second panelist is a renowned doctor from a family of renowned doctors in Varanasi, Dr. Shalabh Gupta. Dr. Shalabh Gupta, MS, FRCS, FICS, is a consultant surgeon and director at the Ashirvad Multi-Speciality Hospital, Varanasi. He did his MBBS from King George's Medical College, Lucknow, MS from Motilal Nehru Medical College, Allahabad, FRCS from the Royal College of Surgeons in England, and he trained in England from 1997 to 2002. Dr. Shalabh Gupta is one of the pioneers of laparoscopic surgery in Eastern UP. He established the Department of Laparoscopic Surgery at Ashirvad Hospital after returning from England in 2002. The center is now acknowledged as one of the premier centers for laparoscopic surgery in Eastern UP. Dr. Shalabh Gupta also pioneered gynae laparoscopy in Varanasi and has performed more than 8,000 gynae laparoscopic surgeries in the past 18 years. That's just wow. He demonstrated live laparoscopic hysterectomy in the conference of the International College of Surgeons held in Varanasi in front of 700 delegates. And I must add that he's a great example of following his passion as a hobby, despite being a busy and accomplished doctor. He's a great photographer and is absolutely amazing behind the lens. Welcome to you, Dr. Shalabh Gupta. What a pleasure to have both of you all with us here today. Before I start rolling, I also want to take the opportunity of welcoming with us Mrs. Bharti Madhok, our director, and Mr. Deepak Madhok, our chairman. I think I can see Bharti ma'am, if you would also like to give a brief welcome to both of them, ma'am.
Yes, I'm there. Thanks, Amrita. And thank you so much, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shalabh. I know I've been knowing both of you. Dr. Monica is so close to our house also. And then anything, whom do you call? She's my, anything which I come across, whether it is my Sunbeam staff or me personally, Dr. Monica has been amazing and a great friend. You know, the kind of people when I go to her clinic, the way she treats, the way she talks to people, I think she does magic with not only her kind words, with her looks, obviously, and also her, the way she guides the patients. They all feel very thrilled, and half the problem is solved by her, kind words. Thank you, Dr. Monica. Monica, for being with us. Also, Dr. Legends, that is what I would say in Varanasi, because with you, it is not only one generation, almost doctors in the family, and many more in the line. Um, and the whole city, and not only city, people from all over UP, they come and they take solace and advice from you, your mother, your dad, your brother, everyone, and both the beautiful ladies in the family. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalabh, for sparing your time for Sunbeam family, and I'm sure we'll be benefited by this session.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhavya.
both of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. I can also see Sir there. He's here. So I would request him also to say a few words, please.
Well, I won't take much of your time, but such a great pleasure and a privilege to welcome uh, Dr. Shalabh and Dr. Monica. And to tell you the truth, these are the two people who have been working day and night in the last so many decades to help the people of Varanasi. And today, the relevance and importance of a good doctor and a good hospital are not lost to anyone. Plus, the lifestyle of how to combat, how to raise your immunity levels, how to look at this pandemic, which is a world war between COVID-19 and Homo sapiens. This is such a pleasure to hear you today. It is going to be. And I welcome you, both of you, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shalabh, to this wonderful Sunbeam group. And also to because there are going to be a lot of Facebook chat questions today to you. There are almost 20,000 members of Sunbeam One all across India who are watching you live on Facebook, and they are going to be about on the Zoom. We almost have participants just now. I could see that there were almost about 95 participants on the Zoom boxes. So, welcome to the virtual world and welcome to this wonderful session. I hope you'll all enjoy it. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalabh, and thank you so much, Monica.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. So let's begin. I must inform you before we begin, I did mention that our leaders and all our parents and students are watching. But what's very interesting is we've also got our estate managers, our people from the infirmary watching us, listening to us, because they're really looking forward to this guidance. So over to my first question, which actually is aimed at both of you. But I'll start with Dr. Shalabh. So my first question is that there's been a lot of, fact versus fake. So much that's going around about COVID-19 and about the present situation. So what is it that is a fact? What is it that we should be really getting ready for COVID-19? What is the fact about it and how do we face it and handle it? Over to you, Dr. Shalabh.
Well, the fact is, there's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of fear mongering going on about COVID-19. But as far as we are concerned in Varanasi, we are lucky. It is definitely in the stage of community spread, but the numbers in Varanasi are still not as bad as they are in Delhi, Mumbai, and Ahmedabad. So we are quite okay at the moment. As far as the virus is concerned, it is a virus. We know it's a virus. The fact that some people say that it's a China manufactured virus, it's a biological weapon, that does not seem to be true. So please do not believe everything that you read on Facebook or on social media. The facts are basically very simple, and the facts are that it is a virus. It spreads by droplet infection. So there are only three cardinal rules to basically stay safe. Number one is social distancing. Number two is wear a mask. And number three is regular hand washing. Everything else is irrelevant, and these basic precautions will keep you safe and will keep you away from the virus, hopefully.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So over to you, Dr. Monica. This is the question is the same, except that I just want to add one more thing. Of course, there are fears in everyone's mind, especially when we are coming closer to reopening schools and people are talking about it. So on the whole, how is it that we can put all these fears at rest? What should we do?
Well, people have to be reassured that this virus is dangerous but not fatal. When we talk about the virulence, of course, it is catching up leaps and bounds. But we are mostly talking about the deaths. We don't talk about the recoveries. In fact, so many people have recovered, and we don't talk about them. So I'm sure with precautions, adequate precautions, we can, gradually get back to our normal lives. The schools can be started with a lot of caution, lot of like social distancing and keeping yourself distant 1 meters away. The children should be guided, and it is very important to get back to normal life. And considering talking about the facts and myths, well, there are several. The WhatsApp is actually misleading people. So if you have to really believe, then you have to get down to the bottom of it. Like, you have to remember that bleach, which is used for cleaning, it should not be sprayed on your body. Remember that hot or cold weather will not make a difference. Corona, if it has to come, can come in hot weather or cold weather. And like I said, not all people die of corona. Thermal scanner will detect the fever, not detect the corona. And very frankly speaking, if I have just had a friend who said that if I hold my breath for 10 seconds, means I will not have corona. Sorry, this is not true. So you have to, read and accept and take the right information about the spread of the disease.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So basically, it's all about being positive. Take the WhatsApp, university a little away from your life. Thank you. Well said. So over to you, Dr. Shalabh. Now, schools are pretty much talking about reopening. And for us, actually, we have a specific date also now, because being a K-12 school, we have our board examinations coming from the 1st of July. They're supposed to be starting. So we have very little time and we need to get geared up and ready. So what do you think are the precautions that we should be taking now that we are going to be inviting our children back to school? What are the precautions we should take?
Well, number one, there's a lot of talk about disinfection tunnels. So disinfection tunnels, they are basically of two kinds. Number one, where you spray chemicals like bleaching powder, sodium hypochlorite solution. That is found to be not very useful at all. In fact, it's harmful for the kids. It can be very bad for their eyes and for their skin. So that's a big no-no. The second idea of disinfection tunnel is to use UVC light, ultraviolet light of the C spectrum. Now that is the light that is found in the upper layers. It's filtered by the ozone. Again, that light, prolonged exposure can cause damage to the eyes. It can cause sunburn, quite severe sunburn, and it can also, long-term exposure can cause skin cancer. So disinfection tunnels at the point of entrance of schools is not recommended by the WHO or most of the international bodies. So that's that. Now, the second thing is that what precaution does a child need to take once they are coming to school? So, like suppose when you leave your house, you should essentially be wearing a mask. You can be wearing a nitrite gloves, which are disposable thin gloves if you need, but they're not absolutely essential. Once you board your bus, you need to maintain distance from your colleagues of at least 1 meter. If you need to sneeze or cough, you need to do that in the crook of your arm, in the elbow, in the bent elbow. Do not sneeze directly into the atmosphere, because that will put everybody around you at risk. Now, once you're on the bus, obviously keep your distance. Once you get off the bus, at the earliest opportunity, you should sanitize your hands. Do not share your food with anybody else. Do not share your food utensils with anybody else. That's very important because kids in school, they tend to pass on snacks, share food and all that stuff. And so basically the three car, and again, once you, before you eat, wash your hands or sanitize, and after you eat, wash your hands and sanitize. In your suppose you reach your class now and you are sitting on your desk, it would be a good idea to take an antiseptic wipe and wipe down the surface of the desk and the surface of the armchair before you sit down and take your seat. And obviously, while you socialize, again, the three cardinal rules: keep your distance, wear a mask, and avoid physical contact.
Right. Thank you. That's really, really great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalabh. Over to you, Dr. Monica. Well, even me as a mother, I keep forcing this kadha down my children's throat every morning. They just kind of hate it, but then everybody's been talking about all the ingredients about it. So they say, once you increase your immunity, there are chances that you won't get the COVID. So I just want to know, what is the truth about the kara and other concoctions that we cook up? Besides that, is it true if we have a strong immunity, we will not get the COVID? Over to you, Dr. Monica.
Actually, the kara is made of superfoods like garlic, tulsi, and turmeric. So they have these, certain this turmeric. So that actually works as a immune booster, and it's there is no guarantee that you will not get corona, but this is actually, you're protecting yourself from getting any infection, or making yourself susceptible to it. So it is very important and very good to have a kara, and kara with made of tulsi, adrak, and piper longum, which is called pipli, and turmeric, honey, ginger. So they actually will only boost up your immunity, and they will prevent you from getting any infection. At the same time, that it is also very important to have a very healthy lifestyle. What actually we had lost over the period of time is the way of living. We were always on a mad rush. Even the children, like it used to be. In fact, a bad life for all of us till these hard times struck us. So, very important to have a very stable mindset, a stable lifestyle. Keep your stress levels low. Eat the right kind of food. Vitamin C, ascorbic acid, which actually prevents infection. Your vitamin D is important. Very important to have a lot of colorful fruits and green vegetables, and those your adequate dose of omega-3. All these in the body keep your health physically and mentally very balanced. So if you, it is, at least now we are realizing that it is important to, not just be, physically healthy, but also be mentally agile. So, and apart from this, I think, over the period of time, we had lost on our sleep as well. So very important to have the right kind of sleep. If you notice, we are right now living in a very healthy atmosphere, getting the home food, making full use of all these superfoods found in the kitchen, and exercising, avoiding junk foods, taking enough proteins. So all these will boost up your immunity and will prevent you from, getting susceptible to corona.
Okay. Thank you. Great, great. So you're talking about just going back to a very healthy lifestyle, which even I personally feel in all this rat race, somewhere we had just forgotten about relaxing and enjoying ourselves. So I think that's very, very sound advice. Dr. Shalabh, you've already mentioned a little bit about UV. You mentioned UVC, a technology, I guess, which we can go in for, because a lot of people are coming to us, like I guess they must be coming to you for selling a lot of equipments, right? It's become like the market is flooded with them. So the UV tunnel, there's something called a UV. Actually, it's not a tunnel. It's like a little chamber, or it's a device which they were trying to tell us. They put it inside the room and they say just switch it on. And after some time, hardly about a minute or two, they say, "Ab ye sanitize ho gaya." So this is something that we are getting a little concerned about, because we are so used to spraying, different, equipment, different elements and stuff, that hypochlorite, etc. So do you think that the UV technology is safe? Can we depend on it? Can I put it inside a chamber and then say, okay, abhi 100% sanitize ho kya?
Like you see, suppose you are putting a UV LED light on one of the wall of your classrooms,
Right,
right? So you have to remember that UV is a light. It travels in a straight line. So any
right,
surface which is not exposed, like the under surface of a desk, or
right,
say the desk which is basically falling, the surface of the desk on which there is no UVC light falling, that surface is not going to be sanitized.
right,
Therefore, the gold standard still remains for surfaces like tables. Like in the morning, your housekeeping staff can come and they can spray bleach solution and wipe down the larger surfaces like desks and stuff. And for the handles and smaller things, you can use 70% alcohol.
right.
So that remains the gold standard. That is what we do in all the hospitals. UV light is not a very acceptable mode of disinfection, for the simple reason that you'll have to have multiple UV lights from coming in from multiple angles to sanitize the whole room.
Right.
So any place where the UV light does not hit is not going to be sanitized.
Okay. I just also wanted to add, Dr. Shalabh, I may be wrong, maybe it's a myth, but UV light exposure may not be very good, I think, even for human beings. Ultimately, there is going to be someone who may just by mistake walk into a room. How safe is it even for human beings?
It is not at all safe. UVC light is not at all safe. Any child who looks into a UVC light for more than a certain number of seconds can have retinal damage, can have corneal damage, can damage his eyesight, and the whole liability would fall on the school.
Okay. So you don't really recommend this very strongly, except
Not
maybe
really,
consider it.
not really. No.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that information. Dr. Monica, you know that we are a boarding school. And as a boarding school, what do you think should be our preparedness? How should we be ready to welcome our children back? Because some of them are going to come back and stay with us, in fact, from the 1st of July, since we're starting our board examinations. So, those little things about sanitization in the kitchen, washing of vegetables, how the food has to be cooked, how it has to be served. How should all these things be done? Please throw some light, give us some guidelines on this.
The first thing is that the area where the food has to be cooked should not be crowded, and it should have bare number of people who are needed to work in the kitchen. So you have to avoid that, not too many people in the kitchen. So like I said, they need to wash their hands with regular soap and water, and in fact the surfaces have to be cleaned with your bleach or alcohol based any sanitizers, and they have to be swept every now and then. And it is very important that the kitchen should not be cluttered, the areas in the hostels should not be cluttered, not too many things inside the hostel. There should be once you enter the premises, there should be places where you are allowed to first wash your hands, then sanitize your hands at regular places. The cafeteria should not be overcrowded. The food which is being served should be hot, and no leftovers to be allowed. And the food which is actually bought from the market should be cleaned thoroughly in running water, just like we wash our hands, for 20 seconds. Very important to clean the food, the fruits, everything in running water. You should not put any disinfectant. That doesn't work. In fact, you're going to do more harm than to the food and to yourself. So that is important, and keep the timings fixed, and it is difficult. It is going to be difficult, but I'm sure children nowadays are intelligent. They will realize, they will understand the importance of maintaining hygiene and maintaining social distancing, so they will comply by it. And the staffs, there should not be too many people to handle the children. You should have limited staff in the premises, and they should not be allowed to go out and come in very often. And the person who is cooking the food should be, you should take the temperature of the person, and any slightest cough or cold or any slightest fever, the person has to, be taken to the infirmary for getting treatment, or the person should be asked to go for self isolation. This is what I feel should be done. Um, Cleaning is important of the whole surfaces, and cleaning should be done at least, every hourly, and majorly in the morning and in the late evening when when everybody they retire to their rooms.
Right. Ma'am, two connected questions to this. I've been hearing that when we wash our fruits and vegetables, they should be washed either in salt, common salt, or in baking soda. Do you recommend that for, a place like the boarding house and the kitchen?
What I have, read and what I understand, the only way to clean vegetables and fruits is, yeah, run them under, clean them under running water,
Okay.
and, dry them. That is all. I would not like to clean any vegetables with salt or baking soda. I would not recommend.
Okay, great. And another question connected to that. After all, children do like to have their little raita with something in it, maybe just cucumber or salads. So, do you recommend, or do you feel we should completely avoid raw food and it should be basically cooked food?
It should only be cooked food for now. Very important to avoid any raw food. I mean, anybody can touch, or even, get some exposure to fly or any mosquito. So that should be avoided. So I always would say that it's important to have warm, hot, and fresh food.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Shalabh. Of course, the school is a place where we have children and we have teachers. So, okay, we are fine. We've been talking a lot about children are comparatively safe. But after all, there are a lot of adults also on our campus. We have teachers, we have our support staff, etc. So there may be a fear in the mind of the teacher. What about me? How can I protect myself? Because it's a very natural thing in a school, where there can be some amount of physical contact between a teacher and a student. A child is crying and you have the natural tendency to go and hug the child. That's the way we've all been brought up. So what do you recommend to our teachers to keep themselves safe? And even if they come to school, what would you like to give them as word of advice for confidence building?
The most important thing, well, I mean, if you can't maintain your social distance at all times, the most important thing for you to do would be to wear a mask, a proper 3-ply mask at all times. That should be the rule for anybody who enters the school campus, right from the students to the teachers to the support staff. Everybody should be wearing a mask at all times. There is absolutely no exception to this rule. That is the one biggest thing apart from social distancing, which will basically prevent you from getting an infection. That is an absolute must. So even if the teacher needs to go in close proximity to a student, as long as both of them are wearing a proper 3-ply mask, then there is a fair amount of security for both the parties. So that's the most important thing. And I think any elder teachers above the age of 60 should basically be asked to not come to the school at this point in time, because obviously they are highly vulnerable.
Right. So above 60, it's better that you take your online classes. Thank
Exactly.
you. So when we discussed and we are talking about online classes, there's one question to you, Dr. Monica. We have been having our online classes, and there has been a lot of debate about screen time. So I was just wondering, is there anything that you would like to tell all of us? What can, because screen time is going to be there. There doesn't seem to be any other way out right now. What can we do to save our children from that damage to the eyes just because you're sitting in front of a screen for such a long time? And after Dr. Monica, in case Dr. Shalabh, you'd also like to add, because that seems to be the burning debate amongst the educational fraternity right now. So what about screen time and how can we save ourselves from that?
Very important to use those blue filters for your screen. One, two. Uh, Another thing very important is like to restrict your time and in front of the screen. So once the child is over with the class, ask the child or the teacher to, go and sit with the eyes closed for some time so that the eyes get adequate rest. There is this problem of dry eyes if you are sitting in front of the screen for a long duration. So you need to, splash water on your eyes and, stay away from all the gadgets, just the class when it gets over. This is how we can, take care.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Shalabh, if you would like to add to that question, and I'm also going to ask you the next question. Natural tendency for children once they come to school. Let's run to the playground. Let's go to the library for those who love reading. And labs also become important as science students. Both of you all understand the importance of going to the lab and taking your practical classes. So what about these areas? Should we go? Should we avoid it completely? I don't know what the MHRD directives are also going to come, but I'm just talking more as a teacher. Should we avoid it? And if we go, any suggestions that you'd like to give us on this front?
The playgrounds are absolutely fine because you're in the open air. There's no risk as long as it's not a game which involves people like in very close proximity to each other. If the kids just want to run around or maybe sit in a group 1 meter apart in the open air, it's absolutely safer than when they are in a classroom or in a bus. But obviously, when we talk about libraries and labs, then you're talking about a confined space. So if you're in a library, all the surfaces should be wiped down, all the handles should be wiped down in the morning, and maybe every 2 hours with a simple dilute bleaching solution. And as far as the books are concerned, it is better not to, kind of let the kids borrow books for the time being, because they should basically stick to their own books. And sharing books is not a good idea, obviously. And again, for the labs, if it is a absolutely essential exercise that you have to kind of conduct experiments, then you need to space the kids. Again, the same thing, wipe down the equipment and restrict the time in close proximity with the teachers. And then obviously everybody wears a mask at all times.
Right. Thank you. Question to you, Dr. Monica. Obviously, a school is a place where children are, there are a lot of needs. So toilets, it's coming up as a big debate, especially for the younger ones, they're all children. How much of hygiene are they maintaining? How should we keep our toilets safe? Because it's, kind of used. It's not easy for people to just follow children to the toilet at the same time. Should we just let one or two children go? How much of cleaning is to be done? How often after every child goes? So I just want, kind of suggestions on toilet hygiene and how do we keep them as safe areas?
The toilet should be cleaned after every child going and coming out. Very important since it is the schools are public places. So very important to clean the toilets with at regular intervals. Like I would say, after every child going and coming out, because you don't know what the child has, and the next child getting in, you don't know. So it should be cleaned after the child going and coming out. Then second, don't allow too many children to go to the toilet at one time. So they should go like one by one. And ask them. In fact, there has to be like with children, I know, like they want to, escaping from the class and wanting to go to the toilets. So this has to be monitored, that you go and you just spend the time and come out, don't spend extra time over there. And the person cleaning the toilet, that person also has to take care of himself, has to wash the hands and clean the surfaces, clean the pots. And very important that when you clean an area, it is important to clean the cleaner area first and then go to the dirty area. So very important to clean the floor first and then go to the pot area. So this is
Right.
how the cleaning should be done.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. That's great suggestions. One of my last questions to you, Dr. Shalabh, after which we'll throw it open for everyone. And of course, we'll be taking in a few from the Facebook too. Uh, Everybody keeps telling you again, if your eyes are watery, oh, it's symptom of COVID. Of course, we've been, hearing about a running nose or fever. These are symptoms of COVID. Schools are going to reopen. So obviously, there are going to be fears whether someone is suddenly developing, symptoms of COVID. So, what are the symptoms that we should look at and try and see that these are the symptoms? Number one. Number two, my second fear. Maybe a teacher says, okay, these are the symptoms, and I feel this child is probably got the virus. How is it that we're going to take that child and bring him to the infirmary, for example, or should we have an isolation ward in the school till the time a parent is called in and the child is handed over? So, in case we want to flag someone, spot someone, how do we do it? And then how do we handle that child?
Well, I mean, the most common symptoms of COVID in young kids would essentially be the same as that of a flu.
Okay.
So basically, fever and body ache, again, runny nose. They can have there's a lot of emphasis being placed on loss of smell, but that's just one of those things which is not very common. So essentially, symptoms, fever, body ache, and again, cough. So then, if that happens to a child, it's of an acute onset. You need to isolate the child. You need to make a separate area apart from the infirmary, because in the infirmary you might have kids with tummy ache or other things, or people who have fallen down and stuff like that. So you don't want to mix these kids. So
Absolutely.
you want to create a separate so-called COVID, suspected COVID isolation area where the kids can be held till such a time as the parents can come and pick them up. And then obviously these kids have to self-isolate at home. And then depending on how things progress, if they do not develop any symptoms, then they can obviously come back in a week or 10 days time. And obviously if something happens, then obviously they need to be taken care of by a health professional.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we've had some brilliant suggestions and brilliant facts coming out from both our very, very accomplished doctors. I'm throwing it now open. I would love if on the participants bar, you could raise your hand so that I could ask you to ask questions. And Aditya sir, would you please help me with some questions from the Facebook too? So we
Yeah.
have a question in the meanwhile. I think it's from Sunbeam College for Women, Bhagwanpur. That's so. Is that Madhulika, ma'am?
That's Sandeep.
That's Sandeep. Okay, sir.
That's Sandeep.
Sandeep, sir. Over to you for your question.
Dr. Shalabh and Dr. Monica, it's been a pleasure listening to both of you. Thank you so much for all the knowledge that you disseminated just now. I have two questions specific to basically these belong to the housekeeping departments. Number one is what precautions and what measures do we take for cleaning of water tanks? Because UV lights and UV rays and water tank cleaning and all these things, I've been reading and hearing a lot about it. Something very specific we need to know, because all our estate managers are also here in this group right now. So they would love to learn about things in detail. And number two is, how is fogging going to help? The larger areas, say for the entire hostel building, we generally go for fogging mostly twice a month or sometimes once a month. And what particular chemical and combinations should we look into when this fogging is going on, especially in light of this COVID-19 now? So these are two questions from my side, sir.
So Monica, will you take it?
Yeah, yeah. So, housekeeping.
Someone has to mute. Someone is unmuted themselves, please. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Monica.
Thank you for your question. Cleaning with UV rays is not recommended. Okay, and water tanks can be cleaned with chlorine water, chlorine. And second is this, that for larger areas, you have this ultrasonic humidifier sanitizing machines, which actually throw your the hypochlorous acid, okay, which actually throws that. And we are basically diluted, of course, but what we are using is for any kind of I mean, as a disinfectant, we are using 1% hypochloric acid. It has to be diluted in the ratio of 1:10. If I'm not, I mean, this is what I know of. Dr. Shalabh, would you like to add anything?
Well, there are a lot of resources online which will tell you how to make basically sodium hypochlorite solutions from bleaching powder. They are very easy to find, and for different applications, there are different strength of solutions, and it is just one click away. You can that resource is not a problem. I mean, that's what we use. We use WHO guidelines to make these solutions from simple bleaching powder, and that is what we use for the general surfaces. And for sensitive things like light buttons or stuff that you think like lift buttons and stuff in which you feel that the surface finish will go bad by using bleaching powder again and again, sodium hypochlorite solution, for those surfaces we use 70% isopropyl alcohol, which is also now very easily available.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
sorry. Thank you. So, can I ask Mamta ma'am? Mamta ma'am is the principal of Sunbeam Annapurna. Ma'am, if you can ask your question, after which Aditya sir, I'd like to take a question from the Facebook, if we have any. Yes.
Sure.
Over to you, Mamta ma'am. Mamta ma'am, you have to unmute yourself. I think she's having some network issues. That's what she's been saying since morning. Yes. Okay, so while Mamta ma'am is trying to adjust her network, Pramod sir is...
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am, please, over to you. Mamta.
Actually,
No
I
problem.
lost my connection, ma'am.
I know, no problem.
Good evening, sir and ma'am. Actually, first of all, I would like to express my gratitude for all the guidance that you have given us. So my question is related to the air conditions in the classrooms. And should we switch them on because there is a lot of debate on this. So can you please guide us?
I said before that no weather, cold or hot, if corona has to come, it will come. So because of this hot, humid weather right now, I think you can use air conditioner in your classrooms. No harm in using that.
Okay, Dr. Shalabh, would you like to add anything to that? Dr. Shalabh, would you like to add anything to that? Because air conditioning has been coming up for a great debate. Have we lost Dr. Shalabh? I think for a minute we have.
Yes, ma'am, the connection.
I think
He is there, but probably having...
he's probably having some slight network issues. Okay, so anyways, we'll go over to the next question. The next question has come from Mr. Paul, who is our estate manager for many years with a lot of experience. So over to you, Pramod sir, if you would like to ask your question.
गुड इवनिंग मैम मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये था कि ये कोरोना वायरस जो है ये विभिन्न मेटल्स पे या वुड पर या पेपर पर ये कितने देर तक ये जीवित रहता है, क्योंकि उसी के हिसाब से हम लोग को बार बार इसकी सफाई करानी भी जरूरी होती है। और दूसरा क्वेश्चन मेरा ये था मैम कि सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइड कि ये कितना % इसको हम यूज कर सकते हैं। मैम तीसरा क्वेश्चन मेरा ये था कि ये कोरोना वायरस का प्रभाव जो होता है ये क्या पेड़ पौधों पर होता भी है, क्योंकि ये हमारे सन सिटी में तो बहुत ज्यादा ही ये पेड़ पौधे हैं जिसके संपर्क में बच्चे हमेशा रहते हैं, तो इसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं मैम? ये मेरा 3 क्वेश्चन था। थैंक यू मैम।
पहला प्रश्न का उत्तर आपने पहला प्रश्न क्या था? पहला प्रश्न एक बार फिर से रिपीट करें प्लीज।
मेरा पहला क्वेश्चन ये था कि ये कोरोना वायरस का जो वायरस है ये मेटल पर
कैसा रहता है? अच्छा, स्टील और प्लास्टिक्स में इट लास्ट अराउंड लाइक से 3 to 6 hours, while in wood it stays for 72 hours. So very important कि every hourly it should be, वुडन में 72 आवर्स रहता है, बट स्टील में इट स्टेज फॉर 3 to 4 hours एंड प्लास्टिक में भी इट स्टेज अराउंड 3 to 6 hours. दिस इज व्हाट इज देयर. सेकंड आपका प्रश्न क्या था सर? सेकंड प्रश्न क्या था?
सेकंड प्रश्न मेरा ये था कि सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइट को कितने % यूज कर सकते हैं हम?
सर जितना हम लोग को मालूम है कि 1% हम यूज करते हैं. इसकी डाइल्यूशन कितनी होनी चाहिए ये कुछ जगह कहते हैं 1:5, बट जो हमको WHO रिकमेंड करता है 1:10%. ये हमको ये मालूम है, जो हम यूजुअली WHO को ही फॉलो करते हैं. तीसरा प्रश्न आपका था कि पेड़ पौधों में कोरोना रहता है कि नहीं. बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा. अभी तक मुझे लगता नहीं है किसी ने इतना दिमाग लगाया. लोगों को जानवरों में तो मिला है, कुत्ते में मिला है, टाइगर में मिला है, लेकिन पेड़ पौधों में मिला है कि नहीं. लेकिन मुझे जो लगता है कि कोरोना एक ऐसी चीज है जो किसी भी सरफेस में रहती है. सो आई एम श्योर इफेक्ट नहीं करती होगी, लेकिन रहती जरूर होगी. और हमारे बच्चे, अगर हम लोग को बच्चों को थोड़ा कम ही एनकरेज करना है कि जाके पेड़ पौधे ज्यादा छुएं, क्योंकि वो ऐसी वायरस है, इट स्टेज ऑन टू द सर्फेसेस.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that we've got Dr. Shalabh back, because we kind of lost.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm back. There was a power outage. I'm sorry.
Right. No issues at all. Thank you for being back. So Aditya sir, let's take some questions, maybe for Dr. Shalabh now from the Facebook.
Right. Good evening and Jai Hind. I have a question on the Facebook from Mrs. Rekha Gupta. She asks, what precautions are to be taken if we order food from Swiggy or Zomato or from any other carry away restaurants?
Well, the first precaution that you need to take is the person bringing you the food. The person essentially bringing you the food should basically be wearing a mask. You should ask the person to keep the food down on the floor, a bit away from you, and if possible, use contactless payment facility. So try not to, exchange money. Don't give him money and get the change back. So that is one component. And then the second component is the food packaging. Theoretically, suppose he has bought you food in a packet and he has sneezed on that packet. So droplets of coronavirus can exist on that, on the container in which the food has been bought. Now the container should basically be emptied of the food and disposed of, and then you should wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, and then consume the food in your own utensils.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So next we have Mr. Thakur. He's the superintendent of our hostel at Varuna. Over to you, Mr. Thakur, with your question.
Good evening, Jain ma'am. I just want to ask you, ma'am, that usually when you were talking about food preparation in the kitchen and how to we have to take care of it. A question came to my mind. We generally keep food, this ginger and garlic paste in the fridge. Should we have to keep it, or we have to make it fresh and use it and then finish? Another thing, our vegetables come from the market. So when you said that just wash it on with the running water, should we add, after running water, should we add a bit portion of vinegar and wash it with that? Is it okay? That's my question, ma'am.
Well, very frankly speaking, there is no recommendation by any of these health authorities about the efficacy of vinegar. So I rule that out. The only way to clean anything is just wash it in running water. That is the
Right.
only thing we can do. And like you wash your hands with for 20 seconds, so why is it that you clean each vegetable for 20 seconds in running water? One. Two, I would not recommend to keep stored adrak lehsun paste in the fridge, which is actually not right at this time of our pandemic. Wise, you make fresh masala and serve. That is wiser.
Right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gurmeet ma'am, over to you. Gurmeet ma'am is the principal of Sunbeam School, Bhagwanpur. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Monica Gupta and Dr. Shalabh Gupta. My question to you is, a lot of students and staff members do suffer from, different diseases, maybe like diabetes, high blood pressure, and there are students also with asthma. They are there in the regular school also. What is your recommendation? Should they join, not join? Because right now they're in online classes. So even when the school reopens, what are the directions for them?
Right. Dr. Shalabh, can I request you to please take that question?
Now, this is now a very clear and a proven fact that people with diabetes, hypertension, cardiac problems, respiratory problems like asthma and COPD, and any kind of problem which compromises their immunity, like if they are on any kind of steroids or immunosuppressants, along with age, all these factors put you at a greater risk of getting the coronavirus. And then again, once you have got the virus, the outcome in such patients is generally much poorer than the general population. Therefore, if somebody has got diabetes and hypertension, some teacher, and they are elderly, then obviously stay away from the school. You have to stay away from a crowded place, and school would be defined as a crowded place. And as far as the children are concerned, again, if some children has got some kind of immune deficiency disorder or some kind of breathing difficulties like a chronic asthma or even juvenile diabetes, it is better for that child to basically manage with online classes rather than coming to the school unless and until he absolutely has to. And if he has to, then obviously all those three cardinal rules have to be followed: social distancing, masks, and regular hand washing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doctor. Aditya, sir, any questions coming up on FB? Can we take a question from there?
No, ma'am, I don't have anything as such on the FB
Yes,
page
that's
as
right.
such.
Great. So we have quite a few questions here, though. So our next person to ask a question is Murli ji. Murli ji, please come up with your question. I think you take care of the kitchen, if I'm not mistaken. So please, over
Yes,
to you.
ma'am. I'm taking over the mess in Sunbeam Bhagwanpur, ma'am.
And
Good
smart.
evening,
Yes, sir.
good evening, sir, and good evening, ma'am. My question is, ma'am, serving the non-veg during this COVID-19, is it safe or not? And my second question is, what are the diet plan for the students who are sick? Like some students having the loose motion during the school hours. So what are the diet plan we can use for them? And my third question is, what are the immunity booster substance can be added in our daily menu? Like we are already given them green vegetables or fruits and all. Is there anything to add on in the menu?
Can I request Dr. Monica to please take that question?
Okay, so non-vegetarian food I don't recommend because you're getting the food from outside and you don't know how they have been, cut and thawed. One, two, you can have eggs because when you bring the eggs, like they are cooked and they are safe enough. Second is this that when you cook a food, you are actually when the food is being cooked, the at a certain temperature, the food which is being prepared, it loses its any kind of um, uh, I mean. Uh, any kind of outside your whether any kind of bacteria or any kind of food component which is attached, it loses its texture with when you are cooking the food in at a certain temperature. One, two is this that immunity boosters. I said you have those superfoods in the kitchen. And like you can give kara, you can give vitamin C in these fruits like nimbu, like lemon, and your juices, freshly made. They they build up your immunity. But you ask this question that whether if the child is having diarrhea, then what to do? Then of course you have to take care and give him bland food and take care of his diet, not load him up with too much of extra calories or extra food. Third is this that very important that the right balance of nutrition is very important. Giving green vegetables with fruits and properly cooking the food, that is very important. And serving, like you should not cook the food and keep it and then serve. If you're cooking, then you're serving immediately. That is more important.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Vineet sir, you can ask your question, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Sir, just I want to know, even when we are living, maintaining social distancing, when we are living in isolation, what are the chances to get infected from COVID-19 through air? Please, sir.
Over to you, Dr. Shalabh, please. Yes, sir.
Well, when you are in isolation and basically you are not in contact with anybody, then COVID does not survive in the general atmosphere. When a person is in contact with you, well, suppose when we are talking loudly, then the studies have shown that fine droplets of water can travel for up to 3 meters when somebody is speaking loudly. Same with sneezing, when they are not protecting themselves while sneezing. So if you're isolating in a room by yourself, and suppose you are in a COVID hospital where you are in a room by yourself and there are 50 COVID patients in the same facility but in different rooms, then your chances of getting infection from the person who's in an adjacent room is negligible, next to zero, or rather zero. So unless and until you are in the same room with an infected person, the chances of getting COVID infection are zero, literally zero.
Okay, thank you. Shoma ma'am takes care of our junior school at Annapurna. So I'm sure she has something to ask for the junior children. Over to you, Shoma ma'am.
Yeah. Good evening, sir and ma'am, and thank you so much for giving your precious time. So I just wanted one clarification that after washing fruits, vegetable, etc., we are keeping in refrigerator. Even curd we are keeping. Even children are preferring these days cold drinks like maybe milkshake, etc. Is it advisable or not to keep fruits, vegetable, etc. in the refrigerator or maybe curd, etc.? Just wanted your suggestion, sir.
Monica ma'am, over to you. Or yeah, I think anybody can take it if you wish. Dr. Shalabh, you were going to reply. Please carry on, sir. Please carry on.
No. I mean, like Dr. Monica said, food better to be served fresh. That is the cardinal rule. So do not keep stuff in the refrigerator and maybe do a second serving of it. That was the first point. The second point is cold drinks and very cold foods are not a good idea, because suppose a child gets a sore throat and then develops a fever, then everybody starts panicking. The first thing that you do when you think, oh my God, my child has got fever and sore throat, so you call up his parents, they come, and then there's just panic all around. So better to avoid foodstuffs which are very cold in temperature, which might induce a sore throat and thereby a fever. So that's that. And as far as curd and stuff is concerned, better. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Right. Thank you. So we'll just take two last questions. The next question, I think, is from, okay, Devoshri, I think, yes, Devoshri, ma'am. Question from you, Devoshri, ma'am, please.
Jai Hind, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. I have one question, ma'am.
Yes.
In the hostel, thank God we don't have bunk beds, but even like the cots should. What is the ideal number of beds we can keep in, say, in a dormitory?
Right. Monica, ma'am, if you'd like to take
It
that
depends
question.
on how big is your dormitory. Just remember that each bed should be kept at a distance of 3 feet from each other. Okay?
3 feet. Okay, that is all. Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you.
There should not be overcrowding. 3 feet from
Oh,
each other.
okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for being so specific, ma'am. So we'll take the last question now from Bhushan, sir. Over to you, Bhushan, sir. Bhushan, sir,
Jain, ma-
yes,
Jain,
Sandeep,
Jain,
Sandeep.
ma'am, Jain, ma'am,
Jai.
and Jain, sir. Ma'am, I want to ask the question, but Devoshi ma'am has asked the same question.
Okay,
So my doubt is cleared now.
cleared.
Actually, it is related to accommodation inside the
Right,
hostel.
right. I'm sure. I'm sure it's a burning doubt in everyone's mind. Thank you so much. Gurmeet, ma'am, I think you want to come in. Since we have time, we'll just take your question as the last one.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I've been listening about, serving the food hot. And once, like children, they come back to school, they're going to bring tiffins with them. So, what about that? Means it is like, they come to whatever time they come to for 3 hours or 4 hours, they are going to bring. So, what is your guideline for that? Because the parents would be also listening to it.
Yes, yes. It's a very good question. Over to both of you all. Anyone would like to take it?
I'm sure the parent who's sending the tiffin will send and cooked food like not too many like cooked and dry like aloo paratha or sandwich. So very important that the tiffin is eaten like say within 3 hours of being prepared and not kept on for a long duration of time and wiser that we the parents should not give raw salads and raw fruits to the children in the tiffin and I mean the tiffin should be not shared. uh, the children should take the tiffin by themselves only and separate each child like 1 meter in distance from each other.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I
Thank you,
think
ma'am.
we've had an absolutely amazing session. There are so many doubts in everyone's mind. A lot of the cloud has been cleared. Thank you so much for this, both Dr. Shalabh and Dr. Monica, for giving us
Thank
your
you so
valuable time. I would just request Bharti ma'am if you'd like to give the vote of thanks. And also, in case you have a question in your mind, ma'am, it's a great idea to probably share it and ask.
I think all the questions have been answered, and the basic problem is when people they go to the market, people go to for shopping and all, and there are certain things they have to take cash with because when it comes to green vegetables and all, so my staff has to deal with cash sometimes to buy those things. I was wondering what is advice for them.
Dr. Shalabh, if you'd like to take that.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you're going to your fruit seller, we are not at that point in India yet where you can have contactless payments. So you are going to have to handle cash. So the most important thing is to obviously once you get cash back from the vendor, you keep it in a plastic container, and then you basically not touch that cash. I mean, that's what we do for our own hospital. We do not touch that cash. We leave it in a separate container. We wash our hands thoroughly, and then we handle that cash after 72 hours. Because by that time, if there is any virus on the banknotes, it would have died by that time and be inactivated.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Shala.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure all my estate managers and people who go for shopping, they have heard the answers. And I'm sure they are all going to follow. I would like to thank both of you, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shalabh, for your time and valuable advice. We have attended so many webinars, but then I think this was the most fruitful because this is directly affecting everyone. There was no philosophy. It is how we have to lead our life. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shalabh, for sparing your time. We
I'll
may
also
bother you
join.
again and again.
I'll also join hands with the ma'ams in thanking both of you. And the fact remains that this is a huge challenge for schools because a child's life, a child's health is the greatest priority for all of us, for teachers, for educators, for school owners. And even if one child gets sick, it sends tremors across the whole community. So thank you so much. I think all our staff members are enriched today, and we have a lot to learn as we go along with the COVID-19 challenge about how to handle things at the school level with small children, with little children, and with obviously with adults who don't sometimes don't listen to anyone. So thank you so much, and it has been a great session, enriching. Thanks to Amrita ma'am, and thanks to the rest of the people who have been watching it, and all the audience in on the Facebook also. They have been there, and all our friends who have been watching this wonderful session. Thank you so much, Dr. Shalabh. Thank you so much, Dr. Monica.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we go back with a lot of confidence and positive thoughts. As I sign off, all our Facebook viewers and everyone, we will continue with these sessions and these series. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much once again, Dr. Monica and Dr. Shalabh. Thank you.